Laurie Huston's News for the Heart is dedicated to helping you give a voice to your own soul. Our hearts have the power to free us from pain and the struggles that keep us from awakening to our true essence. Join Laurie now as we delve into our heart and soul to find the path that will open us to the possibilities and lead us to the life we love to live.
And good afternoon. This is News for the Heart. And today I have my awesome co-host, Tracy McBurney, with me. We're going to talk about an interesting topic, goodness, and maybe get around to some dryness. That should be interesting too. But we're going to start with goodness.
Oh my gosh. That's pretty funny. Oh, yeah. God, love you.
So, welcome to the show, Trace.
Thank you very much. That's very funny. Okay, all right. So, would you like me to just kind of start in on this?
Well,
you introduce goodness and dryness in the same sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you and I were talking before the show, and I said I thought this would be a good topic for today, which is the topic of our goodness.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to go on to the internet before we started today just to make sure I had the name of this organization correct so that I could, give it out correctly. I found these people, I found this organization, I found this one video talk that was connected to what I'm going to call a professor's essay, a professor's thesis maybe, professor's definite ideas. A man in the United States, I believe, and he brings forward, his name's Jeremy Griffith, and he brings forward quite an extraordinary series of ideas to connect into the concept of our goodness and how he feels that we as humanity have lived in a very disconnected place from this idea of our goodness. And he has his whole way of exploring that, and it's a very interesting hour and a half to spend listening to how he came to these conclusions. So it's the World Transformational Movement is what they're calling this organization. And I absolutely think that people should have a listen. They should have a listen to what this gentleman has to say, and maybe how he got to his observations. But I have sat for a bit of time since I listened to that essay, just exploring that concept of my goodness and recognizing how challenging that is. So I know that I've been on many talks with you, and I'm always, kind of connecting into divine highest intelligence, light being within, like I've got lots of words to describe that place within self to turn to underneath all the stories. And I've never actually termed it this, my goodness. Connecting to the place of my goodness within self. And just desiring to come from there, to be with that, to sit in the presence of my goodness, and to also see what a challenging dilemma that is when you know how many wrong, misguided, problematic, challenging, crazy things you've been involved with in this life, to then be able to be clear enough to say, okay, I've been involved with all of that. I've taken part in all of that. I've experienced all of that. I've experienced the crazy choices within that. I've experienced the crazy roads traveled within that. And all of that has been experienced, and all of that has been the fabric of this life. But there is a place within me that I'm going to call my goodness. That in all of those times where I spun like a top and went off in this direction and lied and cheated or whatever, that I was not coming from that place. Yeah. I did not even know that place existed within me. And having a conscience would make it even more problematic to go to the place of my goodness, the goodness within, as you might be sitting there with your conscience feeling so guilty about that which you've been a part of, that which you didn't see, so ashamed by whatever this is, so buried in that shame, so buried in that guilt, so buried in that embarrassment. And you're trying to make things better now that you're seeing it, taking responsibility for it, making things better from that place of, I am bad. Yeah. Making it better from that, I'm not enough place. I'm not enough place. I wasn't enough. I wasn't enough. And that's the problem. I wasn't enough. And that's the problem. I am bad. And now I've got to right this. And I think that's been, if we look at what's going on even in Canada, that has been the collective problem. Let's take responsibility for our badness and now go, okay, we're taking responsibility for our badness. We're recognizing how bad we were and how badly we did things and what bad people we have been and how ashamed we are of what the bad people that we have been. And even still, we are not choosing. We are not knowing. Forget the choice. We don't even know there is a choice. We're just sitting in this place of our badness, our wrongness. We've got to do better. We've got to do better. We've got to do better. We've got to do better now. And I'm saying, if we want to do better, then we need to cut this out. And we need to do it differently. And people are saying we need to do it differently. The different way that we do it is we connect with the goodness within ourselves. That's what we turn to. The goodness within ourselves that is still there, that has always been there. The goodness within ourselves that we didn't even know existed, because if we knew it existed, we wouldn't have behaved in all the ways that we have behaved. If we knew that this place of goodness existed. Yeah. But we have a history of badness. We have a history of wrongness. We have a history of delusion. We have a history of denial. We have a history of darkness. We have a history of doing atrocious things to one another. And to this earth, to this planet. And the people that then have a conscience around that can sometimes be the people that don't even allow for things to be found in the goodness place. If that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because from a conscience, like we have a conscience, so we got to do better. And so what did Einstein say? Like, don't sort the problem from the same place that created the problem. It's like, okay, we're going to sort it from the place of goodness. We're going to sort it from the place that knows that we are good. We are goodness. We are goodness. We are goodness that has forgotten our goodness. And now we're choosing to get underneath all the stories, and we're choosing our goodness. And we're choosing to know what we at that goodness place have to say about all of this. How we at the goodness place can help ourselves to find different solutions.
Right.
So I look sometimes at people, very gifted at their craft, and they're channeling entities. They're channeling Archangel Michael. They're channeling the Pleiadians. They're channeling angels. They're channeling these places. But they still are sitting in the place of working out their own stories of I'm not enough. They're still coming, the whole way that they got into the channeled environment is I'm not enough, but I want to serve. I want to help things to do better. I want to help things to be better. I want to be helpful. I want to do more. I want to bring in the love. I want to bring in the light. But I'm coming from my foundational place of I'm not enough, but I want to do better and I want everything to be better, and I haven't changed where I'm coming from. I haven't looked really at where I'm coming from, or I haven't quite gotten that sorted, but I got to do this. I got to do this. I can't be part of that. And so they're channeling these wonderful energies that are coming in to speak through them, but they're coming into a mind body that is sitting in this delusional state of non-goodness.
Yeah.
And so I get to serve, I get to change something, I get to be a part of this change because I have reached out and learned a skill of channeling and learned a skill of bringing something in. But I've never really sorted that within myself. I've never really made peace with this piece, this not enough piece, this I'm bad piece. I've never really found the goodness of me. And if that channeler person was now coming from the place of finding the goodness within themselves and sitting in that goodness, just sitting in that goodness, from that space, would they still be interested? Would they still be interested in reaching out to bring the Pleiadian energy in, reaching out to join with their goodness? Would they still be interested in that? Maybe, but it would be coming in to a channel that was very clear of their own goodness. When that channeling exercise is coming in the other way, there's a wishy-washiness as to there's a not enoughness, there's an instability. And I'm not so sure that if somebody really connected to their goodness place, whether there'd still be an interest in reaching out.
Right. Because then you would feel enough. You would feel okay to be able to do.
You'd know that there wouldn't be an enough, so there wouldn't be an I'm not enough story. You are your goodness.
Right.
You are your goodness. You are connected to source of all life. So it's all there. So you're connected to source of all life. So if you want to have a discussion with the Pleiadians from that place, you're equals in that space. Right? There's like I'm having a conversation or a dialogue from my place of pure connection to that source of all life. And now from that source of all life, I'm desiring to be in a conversation. I'm desiring to be in a connection with a Pleiadian energy, with a extraterrestrial energy, I'm choosing to be in that conversation, two equals choosing to be in conversation. Two people who are in their own power, two energies in their own power. No, I'm channeling in something from my place of not really knowing my own power, not really knowing my own light, not really knowing or connecting to my own goodness. And then I'm seeing you as all powerful. I'm seeing you. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, I'm right there. I understand that part because it.
So be with self first.
Right.
Be with the truth of self first.
Yeah.
Sit in the truth of your power first. Your goodness comes first. Your knowing of your own goodness comes first. And then reach out to have conversations, if you'd wish to, with things that are of their own light. But be in your light first.
Yeah, because it's like we give them more power than us. Because
right.
We believe they're purer, they're better, they're
smarter, they're right.
Yeah.
And because if you've done that where you've made yourself the channel to something else other than yourself, and you have not sat in your own goodness and really recognized yourself, then it's easy to be in the illusion of they know more, they know, but we are all connected to the source of all life. So when they are connected to the source of all life, then they are bringing information in from the source of all life, just the way you would be bringing information in through your filters from the source of all life. And everybody is bringing information in from that place of source of all life.
Right.
So if it's all coming from the same place, if it's all coming from the source of all life, then how are they more powerful? How are they more anything than you are? It's only when you're not seated in the right place, you're not seated in your throne here on earth, that things go sideways. Right? So it's like, it's a couple of interesting things, right? Like, it's like, have you allowed your throne to be here on the planet? If you're a cell, we're all a cell in the universe. Are you as a cell within this universe, are you your beautifully, divinely perfect fractal size? Or you as a cell within the universe, have you become bloated? Or have you shrunk? And if you've become bloated, or if you've shrunk your cell of you through whatever the experiences are that you've had here, then you are too small for the throne that is your throne, or you become too big and bloated for the throne that is your throne, so that you can't fit nicely into your throne.
Right.
To seat here. How do we become bloated? I don't know, but I could think of just getting so filled up with everybody else's stories, like so filled up with, like somebody who's now got a separation of their aura to their physical body. I never even knew that was possible. I never knew it was possible to have an aura separation from your physical body. But it's Donna Eden that first brought that to my attention. I was like, what? How could? But what she said was, if you literally have been so traumatized, if you're so overwhelmed Like, think about this for a second, how many people are so overwhelmed by everything that's going on right now.
Right.
So traumatized. Like, pick your choice. Did you get traumatized by Trudeau picking the giant scepter up and literally, creating the emergency powers here in this country in Canada, for a truckers' revolt that extensively they never charged anybody with anything other than mischief for? But there were these giant powers that now were going to be granted to our government to literally take control of people's finances and shut down. Is that the one that set you offside? It set me offside, and it set enough of people offside that bank accounts were just so, there was such financial chaos that happened, not just in this country, but worldwide when he did that he literally had to come a couple of days later and undo that. Right. Did that traumatize? Who did that traumatize? Is the Ukrainian, Yugoslavian thing is that the traumatizing force? Is this, somebody being told they have to take a second or a third dose of a vaccine they never believed in the first place? The traumatizing piece here. What does it take before your aura just becomes completely separated from your physical body? And when that happens, you are now pouring in. Like, there's a mass amount of energy from everywhere just pouring right into you, and you are just being buried. Donna Eden has a beautiful correction for that, by the way. So on the internet, on YouTube, I get paid no money to tell you this. But I think she's done it, so why not go get it from her? Donna Eden, YouTube, is called The Celtic Weave. It's a beautiful, beautiful, simple, little, beautiful exercise. You feel like just like a ballerina, pretty much. And it just does a wonderful job of weaving the energy field of your aura back to your physical body with your intention that what you want extracted, like, please extract out of me that which does not belong inside of me. That which has bloated out the cell of me to the point where I cannot even sit on my throne. My throne, my individual throne. That is unacceptable to me. Make it unacceptable. Anybody that's listening to this call, just make it absolutely unacceptable that you would be so bloated out or so shrunken that you do not fit and will not fit on your beautiful throne, seated here in your power, in light, in your goodness on this planet. And just desire that that is now lifted and extracted out of you. Because it's too much for people to take on everybody else's pain and everybody else's hardship and everybody else's circumstance. It's just too much. So we're going to lift it out. We're going to allow it to be lifted out. Like, just think angels coming in with buckets and wheelbarrows, just moving it all out for us, just moving it out. I didn't even know I was going to say that today. So literally, it's beautiful. It was just a channel piece of information. But it's lovely for people to know. And this will happen. It happens to all of us when we get overwhelmed, when we get shocked, when life goes sideways, when we have people that are operating so offside. They're just so offside. There's just crazy things happening that we can't even contemplate. We're so confused with, what are they doing? They're not allowed to do that. They're not, but they're doing it anyway. And then you have somebody say, but they're doing it. And what do you mean they're doing it anyway? That's our Constitution. What do you mean? What do you mean? And brains just like exploding. They're so upset by this. Yeah. Like, what's going to hold us? What's going to hold us through all of this? And I'd say, what is already holding us? We are being held. We are being held. Calm down, brains. Calm down, brains. I know this is chaos. I know this is, just from one perspective, it's just horrible. But we are being held. We are being held and we are being helped. And we are being helped even by conversations like this, that I didn't know that I was going to even say this. An individual cell in a universe so bloated out by taking on all of this stuff that we couldn't sit in our thrones. That wasn't even a concept until it was a concept a week ago. Why is it a concept? Because we are being helped. We are being helped. We're being delivered ways of seeing things, simple ways of seeing things, so that we can look at that simpler way of seeing something. Because politics, man, it's so extraordinarily complicated. So like, oh my God, I looked at the budget. I looked at the Canadian budget. I just about flipped my lid. How could any one person create this, write this, put this all down on paper and understand this? How could any one brain? It's no wonder most of us have just walked away from politics. We've walked away from government. We've walked away from all of it. A long time ago, we went, you take care of it. We're sending you off, like sending you off to war to take care of us, because this is just too complicated. And boy, oh boy, the world has gotten way more complicated now. Yeah. So we're going to send you man and woman, off to the war in government and off to battle in government. And now we've gotten to the point where we're just sending people off. We're sending people off and we're going, I don't know if you're smart enough to go there, but boy, you're brave enough to go there. See you later. Bye. And we're literally taking little to no responsibility over what governs us.
True.
And how we're being governed. Until this happens, right. Until all of this happens. And how much has to happen before we wake up and go, no, this is not the way we want to be governed. No. What are you doing up there, government? What are you doing? No, that's not the way I want to be governed. And really, at the end of the day, that which is happening outside of us is going on within us. And I saw that a long time ago. The first time I saw this whole government issue was with Harper. And I remember just going back, I was beside myself. I'm not really a drinker, and I'd be having these like half glasses of wine with some people, and they must have been getting so sick of hearing me, because I was just going on and on and on about Harper and Bill C-52 and protection. You know, you guys don't understand. These protection things get put into place like we're in hot water, and like people just were not paying attention. Which governments are counting on, by the way. People not paying attention, people being so overwhelmed, they're not paying attention. And of course, people are not on their thrones. They're not on their thrones, and they're not in their power, and they're not in their place of knowing goodness within them. And the people on the Capitol Hill, and the people in the Ontario government, and the people in the municipal government, not on their thrones, or sitting in somebody else's throne. I don't know what thrones Hutto was sitting on that day. But literally not in their thrones. A cell fitting their thrones. Helping to govern, helping to take care of people from the place that they are sitting at. Right. Not to control people, but to take care of people. And somehow or other, that's gotten way... But how did that get so offside? People not recognizing the truth of their goodness. That they are at their foundation goodness. And that's what I want. I don't know if there is going to be a political leader, a daughter or son of a political leader listening to your talk, anybody that's sitting in government listening to your talk that has anything to do with this budget, that has anything to do with anything, any bill that's going to get passed. The idea that this bill 100 at the Ontario government level is even remotely thinking about being passed. These are people not sitting in connection with their own goodness. If you are sitting in connection with your own goodness, you would never even think about creating a bill at an Ontario government level that overrode the Constitution of our country. You would never even think about that. That would literally take rights and freedoms away from people with no trial, that would throw out a judicial system like it meant nothing. We'd never even think about that. Right. And yet we are attempting to create that. And if we are from that goodness place to create something different, and I think we are, I think we really are, then we'd be creating it from that goodness place so it would feel good. It would feel good to people that this change was happening. So even if there were real foundational fabric that was changing, even a foundational fabric in our own Constitution that was changing, that change had come from that place of goodness within us. And people would be at peace with that because they'd know it was coming from that place. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And people are not creating from that place. No. And maybe there was a time when they did in government, and maybe we called those people statesmen. And that I think there was a time in this country where we had some statesmen or women who were governing at these agenda that was not operating from that place of goodness. Mm. And they'd know it. They'd know it. They would know it because they were in it. They'd know when somebody around them was trying to create something from a different place other than goodness. Goodness within. Right. That's what we need. That's what I want. That's what my prayer is. From this day forward, my prayer is that. And to feel comfortable sitting in that place. Sitting in our thrones. My prayer then out today. Thank you to the source of all life for helping and aiding right now with all the human cells that we are. I like to call it a cell in the universe, a human cell. Thank you for resizing all of us to our divine right size. To our divine rights. Thank you for delivering our thrones. Thank you for anchoring our thrones here so we have a place to be here. We can do that now because the earth's grid light has been so as our thrones. Thank you for delivering to us our thrones and releasing from this planet the thrones that we might have been sitting in that were not our thrones. Because I think that's what Trudeau was. A throne that was big enough, wide enough for the darkness and light of him, whatever was joining with him or partnered with him to sit in. Mm. A throne that would be big enough for that darkness energy in him to sit together. I don't know. I think this is my thought. I think everybody should have. We have our own divinely created thrones.
I like that idea.
Yeah, for us to be here, sit here, be one with on this planet. And maybe just having the presence of the throne here keeps us a little more honest. Because on days when we lose sight of connecting with, or just getting traumatized by what's going on, and we get a little bloated with all of this, and we need a Celtic weave to straighten that out again, and we go to try and sit down, we go and try to take our place, and we can't.
Right.
But we have a place here. A place of power. And in that place where we know our goodness. See, I just made right for this earth and for the grid light for this earth. And now there's a wonderful reconnection to the universe with this earth. There's just lots of really lovely stuff that's going on. More stuff than I could even fathom is just tick, 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 shifting, changing, moving, all in really positive directions. We've gotten it wrong more times than a few. Dealing with more times than a few, right? More times than a few with what we've done with the Aboriginal people, Black Lives Matter, whatever. We've gotten it wrong. But what I say is, how can it be another way until it can be another way? And it can be another way now. It can really, truly be another way now. But the other way involves us recognizing we have done some bad and shitty things. And if we just want to get buried in the guilt and we want to get buried in the shame and the embarrassment and everything else, and we just want to stay buried there, that's not where we said we would be. We said if this day ever came, and if we ever succeeded at this day coming, that we would be in our goodness. We would come from our goodness, not from a place of blame or shame or victimhood, not from a place of I'm not enough, not from a place of I'm bad, not from a place of I'm wrong. We'd come from our goodness. And we'd make the changes from our goodness. That's what we'd do. We said we'd do that. And we are coded for that. And I'm very clearly knowing that as I say this to you today. We are coded for that. To be reminded of that. To be reminded of, I'm not going to say our promise because it doesn't feel like it was a promise. It just feels like it's a committed, it's our commitment. It's what we said we'd do if that day ever came. And we thought it would. We really thought it would. We really, really did. As light beings coming down on this planet, we really thought, man, we have so much aligned so beautifully for this time. So I like to say that because it felt like that just came right channeled in. Coded for this. And those codes are protected. Securely protected. Meaning that change within us, that change from our darkness, our illusion, our levels of denial, are living in stories. All of that change, that transformational change, securely protected, coded, each individual one of us coded. For the return to the remembering, to the recognizing, to the connecting, I would say connecting back. I'm going to say connecting back because that feels real, because I think we knew it before. Connecting back to a place of our goodness. Because that's where we were creating from 10,000 years ago, 11,000 years ago, when they see the civilizations of humanity that were so connected, unified, and in oneness with everything around them. No divisiveness, no enemies, just understanding, a greater understanding of all of it, and connectedness. So maybe this is another way. No, it is another way. I guess people that don't like the word divine, don't like, connecting to our inner light, don't like the verbiage of, and then, okay, so here's another way they deliver to me that, was inspired by listening to that gentleman's talk. Desiring to connect to our goodness, to know our goodness. And so somebody said to me the other day, well, how do you get there? How do you find that? It's easy. Go underneath all of the stories. Just intend. Intention in the quantum physics world means something. It's powerful. Intend to get underneath all the stories. Which means intend to get underneath all the beliefs of I'm not good enough, all the beliefs of I'm wrong, all the beliefs of I need to pay a million prices, all the beliefs that I'm eternally banished, all the beliefs that said I'm eternally betrothed to somebody I don't love. Like, underneath all of those beliefs, all of the stories, you find your goodness. It's there. It's an energy. It's not another story. It's an energy. We are light beings. It's an individual color. It is your true identity. That's what I say to Gut Brain. It is your true identity. It is his true identity is this core goodness. We have over-identified with the idea of our badness. We've over-identified with the idea of blame. We've over-identified with all of this stuff. And Gut Brain will hold on to those identities at all costs to our death until Gut Brain gets an upgrade. Until we let Gut Brain sit with our goodness. Without maybe telling Gut Brain, hey, this is true identity, just let Gut Brain, just let all the master brains, let all the little brains, let them all just sit with our intention to know our goodness. And after you've sat in that goodness for a little while, just sat there with yourself. Then you can say to Gut Brain, hey, Gut Brain, this is the true identity. This is the true identity. All the other stories you've been holding on to, all the other emotions you've been calling identity, like I am anger, I am fear, I am upset, I am not enough, all that stuff that have been over-identified with, none of it is identity. This is true identity. It's an energy. It's a light being of her. It's a light signature. This is her. And this is what's in charge. Ultimately, this is what's in charge. And this beautiful goodness is connected, is absolutely one with source of all life. So all information, everything that is needing to be known. Just tell me what I need to know. Don't tell me everything. Bringing everything into this body will just be so problematic. The whole nervous system is going to explode. It's all available. But what do I need to know today? Of everything that is available. This is what the science world calls you're connected to the quantum field of all possibility. I love that. That's what they call God, the quantum field of all possibility. I freaking love that phrase. And so as you are sitting and knowing the goodness within yourself and sitting in the goodness and allowing your body and all the brains and all the fields of you just sitting in the goodness being connected, absolutely intimately connected to the source of all life, meaning your goodness is source of all life. It is made up of the source of all life. And you are the individual light, your own individual light frequency of all of it. So within the whole is the part, within the part is the whole. That's the whole reason why it's been seen that you can see the whole of the body on the bottom of your foot, the palm of your hand, your lips, your tongue, your brain. Within the part is the whole. So within the part of me, within the cell of me, is the whole, is the source of all life. It's all contained within me. Quantum field of all possibility. Well, everything's available. What are the best possibilities for me? I am this light. I am this unique light. I am this spark of light. And I wish to join with the best possibilities for me. To let them come to me. Me who sits on my throne. Me who stands by my throne, my place here on earth. And I fit beautifully in my throne. And if I don't fit beautifully in my throne that day, I know that I've gotten myself involved with something that I need to be released from. And I will allow for that. And my goodness will take care of that. Because that happened in a moment, in a second, in an hour when I was not in connection with my goodness. And so that will be repaired. Adjusted from that place of connection to our goodness. It's kind of like connected to our light app. You know, the light app within ourselves. What can I do from this place of my own light? What can I get up to that is of divine, you know, for the highest and best of the all? What can I get up to? What can I do? What can I self-realize? And I'll tell you, I think it's always for the highest and best of the all that we allow for the repairs and the recalibrations and the reshaping of us if we've gotten ourselves in a mess. I think it's always for the highest and best for the all that we allow for ourself to be well maintained. We allow for ourself to be recalibrated. We allow for ourself to be divinely administered to. We allow for ourself to be taken care of. Because us on our throne here on this earth is what we came for. to be us.
To be us.
To be us. And up until the time that the grid light of the earth had been sufficiently repaired, we could not be us. And it feels right to say we are forgiven for that. We might not be able to forgive ourselves, but we are forgiven for that. It could be no other way, the mess and the chaos, other than the way that it was, until it could be another way. And now it can be another way. And so turning back to the stories of the past, turning back to the stories of the past to get solutions for now, presented ourselves to be in the past, is a corrupted version of darkness and light that was completely detached and not recognizing or channeling from goodness.
Right.
So we need to create new neural pathways, pretty much new neural pathways for the earth, like new ways for doing things on the earth that are absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, connected to and created by our goodness. And not created by anything or anyone creating anything for us 50 years ago when they thought they knew best. We have to create all of it from now. And we have to create it from a place of our goodness. Our goodness, which is our brilliance. Our brilliance, the truth of our brilliance is in our goodness. It is in the place that I am calling our goodness. And to create our solutions and our ways of being, our ways of operating, creating the new neural pathways, the new ways of operating from our goodness. So that would be my message out to Mr. Klaus Schwab, and that would be my message out to everybody that might be part of this World Economic Forum, because apparently half of our federal government are members of this World Economic Forum. I'd say, okay, all right then. So let's have this conversation. Let's have this conversation, because I'm not convinced that what has been written about and what has been documented and talked about by all of the people of the brilliant minds that have met in Davos, Switzerland for every year for the last 50 years, I'm not convinced that the people that have been doing that were accessing these solutions from a place that I'm calling their goodness. I'm just not convinced of that.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. I don't think there'd be many people that would be convinced that any of that's coming from a place of goodness. But
that's what I would like.
Right.
That's what I'd like. That is my prayer.
Nice.
I want their thrones, their beautiful divine thrones brought down to this earth. And that's, I think, where we all just need to be, are the people that we want to elect. I thought the power versus force, I thought Hawkins brought in some really good stuff in the first couple of chapters. He talked about, politicians specifically. Are they meaning what they're saying? Are they really meaning what they're saying? And are they going to act? Are they going to truly act on what it is that they're saying? Do they have that intention? Is that truly their intention? And Hawkins, he would have put it here if it was supposed to be here. Are they, as they speak to us, as they design these things and give us these platforms, are they coming from their own goodness? And if they're not, challenge them and say, take it back. Take it back and do it again. Take it back and rethink it. You're not coming from your goodness, and I'm not interested in hearing what you have to say to me until it is coming from your goodness. And I will know it when it's coming from your goodness, because it will feel good to me. And this is not feeling good to me. So do it again. For us all. So I get the warning about the time. So we're not getting to dryness today. So that'll have to wait. But this was a lot.
It was a lot. There was a lot of good stuff in there. Well, thank you, Tracy. You have been listening to News for the Heart. We're beginning at the heart of what matters with Tracy McBurney and the heart of goodness. Thanks,
Coming
Trace.
from our goodness.
Coming from our goodness.
And a choice.
Definitely choice.
Yeah, it's a choice.
And our thrones. I like the throne. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.